El Redescubrimiento de México, 1978, was based on a 1972 Mexican novel, and it takes an epic look at the life of Asturian immigrant Ceferino from the time he left Spain in the 1920s until he returned there from Mexico in 1977. The film reiterates the image of Mexico as a land of opportunity for ambitious, hard-working Spanish immigrants. Early in the movie, Ceferino hears a returned immigrant say, "The Mexican people live day to day. As a result, the Gachupines have many opportunities." Even Ceferino's father urges him to go, saying, "In this country, the poor have to kill ourselves working just to live." Ceferino becomes a success in Mexico, first working for his uncle, a stereotypical abarrotero, then progressing from a traveling book salesman to being the owner of a printing and publishing company. He returns to Spain and endows a house of immigration in his hometown to help other Spaniards find a better life overseas. Traits of Spaniards and Mexicans are delineated. At the baptism of his newest child, the Mexican Meliton, knowing how tight-fisted Spaniards are, gives Ceferino a bag of coins to distribute to children as a custom. The offended Ceferino assures his compadre that he'll respect the seriousness of the ceremony and not shortchange the guests. Later in Spain, a panhandler has a hard time believing the returned Ceferino is Spanish. Not only has he lost his accent and dresses like a foreigner, he gave him 10 duros as a handout. When Ceferino arrives to meet the parents of his Mexican fiancée Lupita, she chastises him for showing up on time. "You've been in this country a long while and you don't know that for a Mexican, on time means an hour late?" However, as is usual in such films, the reconciliation between Mexico and Spain is cemented by the long and happy marriage of Ceferino and Lupita. It is she who suggests they move to Spain to retire, although Ceferino eventually realizes that he, like his uncle Victoriano, has become an adopted Mexican and wishes to spend the rest of his life there. Mexico, says Ceferino, is the most Spanish of all the countries of America. One major motif of El Redescubrimiento de México is the discrimination and dislike of Gachupines in Mexico, especially in the earlier lives of Ceferino's life there. This clip illustrates that.
Que Gachupines, ¿eh? Y además montoneros.
Capitán, nosotros...
¡Silencio! Hace más de 400 años que nos están fregando y ahora, abusando de su fuerza física, golpearon a este pobre hombre indefenso.
No estaba indefenso, capitán. Nos atacó con una botella sin motivo.
¡Cállese, dicho! Desde que desembarcó Hernán Cortés a estas tierras, ustedes se creen los dueños de México. ¿Qué le hicieron al interfecto?
Nomás le apagaron un ojo, jefe.
Todavía creen que están en la época de la colonia, ¿verdad? Bien. Les vamos a demostrar que la conquista acabó con Cortés. ¡Cabestros! Van a sudar sangre y a pagar por el sacrificio de Cuauhtémoc y la muerte de Hidalgo, Abasolo, Morelos.
¿De tanta gente? Pero hombre, si nosotros no hemos matado a nadie. Acabamos de llegar en el barco español.
Pues aquí agarraron barco otra vez. A ver, licenciado.
A sus órdenes, mi capitán.
Que me encierren a estos 3 pájaros nalgones. Mañana decidiré si los mando fusilar a San Juan de Ulúa o si los pongo a picar piedra en la carretera.
¿Pero de qué se nos acusa?
El de ser gachupines.
This parallels a depiction of ill treatment of Mexicans in the United States, as seen in the so-called Mojado films, although for obvious reasons, Mexican cinema shows undocumented aliens in the United States on the receiving end of much more abuse. El Redescubrimiento de México was one of the last major films dealing primarily with Mexican-Spanish journeys, although the topic continues to crop up from time to time. Conversely, the 1970s saw a flood of Mexican movies about the perils of immigration to the United States, a type of film which continues to be made even today. Obviously, the issue of Spanish-Mexican immigration is no longer a hot topic, while U.S.-Mexican border concerns are still of considerable interest in Mexico. Thus, in the past 3 decades, the theme of a Spanish-Mexican culture clash and reconciliation has decreased significantly in Mexican cinema. As Mexico and Spain modernize and the old folkloric stereotypes vanish, there's no longer an emphasis on the differences between Spaniards and Mexicans, and we see a globalized image where Mexican and Spanish performers and characters appear interchangeably and virtually indistinguishably. In contrast, the distinction between Mexicans and gringos from the USA remains clear-cut and noteworthy. Thank you.
Thank you.